And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Wednesday morning, flying weather, good VFR in the interior here, right on up to the Arctic coast, especially on the western Arctic coast. And then areas of IFR here, northern Bering Sea all the way down into the Aleutians, and extending east-northeastward here, at least along the Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula. Marginal VFR Kodiak Island, a lot of low clouds here that extend up into Cook Inlet in the southern Kenai Peninsula, as well as Prince William Sound. And marginal VFR with IFR now along the southeast coast for the afternoon. That burns back mostly, still some lingering marginal VFR out along the western islands here, back along the North Gulf Coast, diminishing a little bit here over the Kenai Peninsula, but still hanging in Kamishak, Kachemak Bay areas, Kodiak Island. VFR continues in the interior all the way up to the Arctic coast. And the Bering Sea, IFR here, marginal VFR around St. Lawrence Island, and then IFR extending down to most of the Aleutians, Unalaska Island there. Marginal VFR, mostly marginal here for the Alaska Peninsula. And then for the morning hours Thursday, lots of IFR out here just south of St. Lawrence Island, covering much of the Bering Sea down to the Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, Pacific side IFR. IFR now sliding into the east side of Kodiak Island. Marginal VFR back up into Prince William Sound and possibly as far west as Portage there, still over southern Cook Inlet and the North Gulf Coast. Marginal VFR over most of the southeast coast for the morning hours. And then for Thursday afternoon, that improves a little bit over the inside waters here, the Panhandle, but still pretty good marginal VFR out along the coast, all the way up into Prince William Sound, down into Kamishak Bay, IFR east side of Kodiak Island, Shelikof Strait though, marginal. Alaska Peninsula, marginal VFR. VFR all the way up to the Arctic coast in the interior. And IFR here, just south of St. Lawrence Island, down to the Pribilofs, then on back to the west-southwest from Atka Island westward. And for passes, Anatufa-Kanatagan for Wednesday, look pretty good again. VFR, probably for the next couple of days. Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR. Rainy, same forecast. Windy, VFR. Eastern Alaska Range, Isabel, Mentasta, both VFR. Tanita, VFR. Portage, marginal VFR due to some low clouds and fog conditions early on, becoming VFR. And for Chilkoot and White, VFR. Freezing levels, 8,000 feet, central eastern interior into the Northwest Territories, and then a cold upper level low pulling 2,000 foot freezing levels down into the Bering Strait area here. And then back to 6,000 to 8,000 feet over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians, farther to the south there. And for icing, moisture sliding up with that first front here, bringing some considerable moderate rime icing in across Kodiak Island, maybe over the southwest interior with light to isolated moderate icing possibilities, St. Lawrence Island into southern Cook Inlet and the Kenai Peninsula, back down across the Alaska Peninsula. And looking at the jet stream, pretty light wind flow here over mainland Alaska and the Bering Sea, although 60 knots there out of the south as this low starts to pull back to the west a little bit there. And main jet here south of Kodiak Island, but 75 knot winds just clipping Unalaska Island there. Light for the Panhandle, 9,000 feet, south 40 knots, narrow band here, actually south 30 to 40 knots here over the western part of the state, and also here aimed at the Bering Strait there. Otherwise pretty light and variable under high pressure over interior Alaska, especially the east side, right on down the southeast coast. Light variable winds out over the Bering Sea and Aleutians. And 3,000 feet, light variable winds, a little more southerly in direction here, but still pretty light along the southwest coast into Bristol Bay. Light variable wind conditions out over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians, as well as the southeast coast. And of course, with that, there is no significant turbulence expected for the day on Wednesday anywhere around the state.